Hi, this is DT Bonnie, Lavinia World DT Bonnie, and today I had an interest in how I do some of my inky backgrounds, and I was going to go ahead and show you what I do. It's probably going to take a little bit of time, so I will start out and then I probably will fast forward a lot of what I do. Meanwhile, I also wanted to share with you one of the things that recently was in the Lavinia World Challenge, and that is another way that I did a top. I just happened to do this one in a pink version, and as I'm going, I'll tell you the colors that I used for making the blue version, but I will link the colors for this pink version as well. But it's the same concept. What you see on this box is the exact same thing that I am doing down here, except for this was in pink. Well, actually it was in a Victorian Velvet, Distress Oxide, and the dusty Concord Distress Oxide. That's what I did for the most part, and black soot. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started to show you what it is that I do. I do use Distress Oxide, and I also tear paper to get this look, and I use blending brushes. So I usually punch out a circle, and that is going to be, quote, my sun or my moon. And in this case, if you want, I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side so you can kind of see what I'm working on, and I'm going to try to make it similar to this one. They are never the same. They are all one of a kind because I don't do anything consistently in terms of where I place the paper. But I do, in this case, I'm going to use certain colors. So the first color I'm going to be using is Distress Oxide Scattered Straw. All of the Distress Oxide inks and inkers and spray are at laviniaworld.com. So first things first, actually I take that back. I am going to be using the Mermaid Lagoon first. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one of my brushes. This one's darker. And I'm just lightly rubbing across the top. And I'm going to I have a little piece of tape underneath there, but I'm going to go ahead and hold it. And starting on the paper and just going away from it. And this is pretty basic. But I want to make this whole top part pretty much blue as my background, and then I'll come back in with a paper. I sort of did this in one of the videos that you will already see. It was the one I did with a reversed tree root. This is kind of like how I started, but I didn't add any of the clouds. So what I'm going to do then from now on is I'm just going to go ahead and hold up what ink that I'm using, and I might step in to tell you, well actually I'm going to show you my paper I've teared before I make this go forward, and then I'll be able just to make it go forward. Whoops, move that off just a little bit. That tape is really not really super sticky because I've used this several times. Now, the blue, when it matches up with the yellow, can turn green. So you have to figure out how much you want to add to that. And so I try just a little bit to see how that goes. I will not be using the same brush because that will definitely turn it green. So the first one, Scattered Straw is the next one I'm going to be using. Sorry. Scattered Straw. Alright, so this is just my background. I just like to have a color in the background a little bit first. And then I come back in with a torn paper. I'm coming back from off the side of the glass and onto the paper. This doesn't have to really be all that fantastic because I'm going to be going over the top of most of it. This might not be what some artists do, but this is how I get started. All right, so I've got my basic background color. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you the paper, like what I use. And this has been definitely really used. And all I did, and I'm going to show you that other piece of paper really quick. All I do is, if I'm going to do mountains, I'm going to go ahead and tear it like it's going to be mountains in the background. So what I do, I've got a piece of paper that is probably, I don't know, this one must be about full length of a computer paper, about 11 inches. So I'm just going to take this and figure out how I would like my mountains to look. And the thing of it is, I can change this out by how I rotate it too. I think I'm going to have more of a valley, so I'm going to go down a little bit further and then taper off. So this one is a little bit longer and the peaks aren't really tight. So that's what one could look like. It's just like that. And you can see the difference between these two. It's always different. It's how you decide to tear it. So that's what I would use for the mountains for down below. And what I used was gathering twigs. Now I'm going to go ahead and get going now and probably speed this up. So trying to figure out where the best spot is right now. There we go. All right, so I finished with adding the clouds, and as you can see, like I told you, the two are not exactly the same, and every time I do it, it is going to be different. So the next thing I do, once I get the background all done, is I am going to go ahead and take this off, and that leaves me with a big white spot there. And the first thing that I am going to do is I am going to use the scattered straw again and my blending brush, and I'm going to go around the outside of this and start to try to blend that in a little bit. Again, this is very similar to the one that I did that was the reversed stamping, if you want to take a look at that video too and see how I did the moon in that. And you can see as I'm blending this out, it does give a little bit of a halo, but it turns it a little bit green because again, yellow and blue make green. So I'm going to do it like that first, and then I'm going to come in with a little bit of lemon or squeezed lemonade. It's a little bit brighter, and it's going to be for the center. I still have a little bit of the scattered straw, so it kind of blends with it as it goes on. So that's kind of that look. So then what I did was I came back in again with the cloud torn paper, and I added some clouds to go across the top of that. So I do kind of a little bit try to match up, but not completely, with the ones that are there. And the color that I'm going to be using for this is Faded Jeans. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's Faded Jeans. I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm going to fast forward it. All right, so you can see they're not the same, but they're similar. And that's why I said every time I do it, it's something different. It's kind of one of a kind. I am going to use the scattered straw and lighten this up just a little bit underneath here. I don't want to add too much because it'll turn it green. But I like to soften those rough edges just a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the squeezed lemonade to the center. And then this is how I would do this background. And then I have a project that I'm going to be doing using this and the Lavinia stamps. So you can see that's how I do that. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope that you'll come back again. We have tutorials every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes we've added a little extra on different days. Just check back and you'll see. The other thing I want to say, make sure you subscribe, and if all the information, everything that I use will be down below in the description. Thanks for stopping by.